What was the worst mistake you ever made? I skipped a class for organic chemistry in college before finals. Didn't get the memo that final exams would be given in a different room. Showed up 45 minutes late and my professor wouldn't let me in. I failed the class and nearly failed out of college that semester. I was on academic probation after that. Talking to police without a lawyer. Don't do that, kids. Dorky guy in our graphics lab at school was trying to convince us to buy Apple stock as we struggled with our POS PowerPC 6300s. No man, they're rehiring the CEO they fired. He started the company, he's like, visionary. He's gonna resurrect them. Right. Got stuck on my balcony before work one morning. Door latched as I shut it. Was approximately 6 feet off ground, so I decided to jump off. Landed on my feet. Grass was wet, feet slipped. Fractured 3 vertebrae, spent 9 months in a hospital bed. I worked at a marine mammal rescue center in Alaska. It could be really fun and rewarding, but the work itself was anything but glamorous. During the training, we were told emphatically when approaching a rehabbing sea lion from the front, you have to hold your breath until you can get to the side, their breath will knock you out. We laughed but the teacher said, "Oh, I'm not kidding." Should have taken it more seriously. My first week there, I approach a sea lion we're rehabbing and when I'm about 5 feet away, it opened its mouth wider than my head and let out a 4-second long belch, as sea lions are known to do. I immediately fell to the ground puking. Couldn't think straight for 2 minutes and felt nauseous most of the rest of the day, and had to go home early. Still feel sick thinking of it. Pet sitting for a pet fox. I pet sit for a living and came across an opportunity to get 10x the money one weekend by pet sitting for a pet fox while the owners were on vacation. It was super cute, but now it's a year later, and my car still smells like fox. No idea how that's even possible, the fox was never in the car. Can't take friends on rides anymore, sad face. Got offered an internal promotion for double salary job as a JavaScript developer. I was PHP mainly at time, at UK FTSE 100 company and declined because I was humble about my skills / didn't want to cause issues. Now I'm 8 years wiser and realize no one knows what they're doing and I would have been fine with 20 hours on Udemy. Thinking crack would be no more addicting than weed. Been sober 20 plus years now. One positive side effect of getting hooked on crack was that it forced me to stop drinking way before I otherwise would have. Trying heroin. Spent 6 years chasing that dragon. I'm now 5 years clean though. Going on Omegle as a kid I haven't recovered yet. Giving all my best in my last company, had almost no much social life, I was a workaholic, I was like the best developer, thinking it would all result to STH eventually got laid off grinning face with sweat skull. Bring on a sleazy business partner whose shenanigans put me under. Even 25 years later, if he stepped in front of my car, I wouldn't even think of tapping the brakes. I was freeballing and I put on a pair of pants right after I took them out of the dryer. Burned the tip of my dick on the hot zipper. It hurt like hell. Trying to be someone I'm not to impress people. Turns out, being yourself is way cooler. Trusting the wrong person with important secrets. I killed 38 chickens by pure mistake. I was 10 and wanted to let my parents know how many chickens we had. So I started placing them in a barrel as I counted them. At some point I noticed it was way quieter and dumped the barrel over to see what was going on. I didn't understand at the time that stacking things in an enclosed space creates a breathing issue. So now we had all these dead chickens including our beloved Birdzilla, intersex I believe. After attempting chicken CPR which obviously didn't work, I came into my house bawling that I was a chicken murdered and needed to go to jail. Once my parents fully understood what was going on, they laughed so damn hard and said my punishment was to bury the chickens and I was punishing myself hard enough, and my dad explained how O2 worked. Oh, that's easy, trying to microwave a metal bowl. Spoiler alert, it does not end well. Was teaching undergraduate students, and a, now ex-friend asked me to offer my students summer work producing this new thing called NFTs. I wasn't too familiar with what they were back then. This was about 5 years ago, and from what I read, it sounded like a kind of dumb concept, but easy summer work and cash for my students, so I pitched it to them. It turned out that the guy running the company was a notorious scammer who had already spent time in jail, and I had just exposed my students to his latest bullshit. I'm not the kind to overreact normally, but I was extremely proud of that job and the reputation that came with it. I thought it was the end of my career and any chance of ever being trusted by students again, so I panicked, tried, and thankfully failed, to kill myself, and subsequently fell into a severe alcohol abuse problem and had to resign. I was extremely fortunate in that my bosses and team were mega supportive of me and looked out for me every step of the way. I couldn't have asked for more help than they gave me. It wasn't the end of my career at all, but I couldn't face teaching anymore after that. I'm now long-term sober and still work in academia, and I am so grateful to be back on my feet and didn't throw it all away over a momentary crisis. Marrying. Thank God I dumped his ass. I cheated on the love of my life. Ruined an amazing thing. First and last time I ever make that mistake. Driving drunk. Blacked out. Car totaled by train. Don't drink and drive. Sold 83 bitcoins in 2013. Listened to a teacher that said I wasn't smart enough for uni, been questioning and doubting myself ever since. I once tried to push a door that was clearly marked pull. It was a struggle, but I got through it. Marrying the wrong man. Going into a job I had no passion for, purely for the paycheck. It drained me more than I can say. Student loans. Especially realizing that you never needed college in the first place to make it. Lighting that first cigarette. Getting back together with my ex after he cheated multiple times. I now probably need therapy and it's my own fault. Tried to raise a child while having a severe untreated mental illness for 12 years. Believe my dad and granddad when they said they were sorry and they won't do it again. Downloaded Reddit. I didn't pick a call because I didn't have her number saved at that time. It was a random girl from college, a classmate. Later that week, I came to know that she's in hospital and unconscious. I went to check on her. She had an accident, almost the same time when I got a call from her. Talked a little about this in other posts, but my decision to stay and try to help my mom. After my grandmother died, my cousin and I were set to inherit a house, but we gave our halves to her. At the time I was living in Europe, in Budapest, for 3.5 years. I was so close to residency. Then I saw she was having trouble financially when I came to visit for a family reunion. I had a return ticket, my jobs, but I fucking stayed because I felt bad. We set agreements, that I would pay half of everything and then later give her a bit extra so I can save to help my fiancé come here. That in order for this to work, I'd like to live in the house so I'm not paying rent somewhere plus half of the bills, and I wanted to be around the dogs, which I also take care of. Then she took advantage of this by buying more things and investing in the house, which she agreed to sell because she can't afford it without someone helping her. Immediately after I didn't have a way back, things changed. She hated my now ex-partner and would demand time and time again we break up, even though she was nothing but kind to her. She decided she wanted more money immediately. She has threatened to kill herself by putting a gun to her head, pushed me, hit me, tried to choke me, because she would start conflicts and not let me walk away, or didn't like what I had to say. She's tried to cut me off from other parts of the family that know and want to help me. I lost everything because of this decision, but I'm slowly rebuilding, and I think next year I'll be able to find my way back, maybe to Prague this time, or back to Budapest. I don't know, I just want the life I had back, and this time she won't get to be a part of it. Deciding to have an abortion for the wrong reasons. I do not regret the abortion, but I hold a lot of resentment about how it happened. I panicked as a teenager, rushed my ex through it, didn't even give him a chance to talk to me because I was so horrified at being talked about within my family and my relatives judging me and being the first to not only have a child outside of marriage, but teen pregnancy was unfathomable to me. I'm 28 now and them relatives are not a factor in my life, and I'm very bitter about how I rushed myself and my ex and basically trauma blocked it out my head because of the opinion of those who didn't matter. The only opinions that mattered were mine and my partner's, and I didn't think about either. My ex suffered a lot with him mental health afterwards, not because he wanted to keep the baby, but how rushed, manic and honestly just selfish I was during it. Move into a house my mill owns. It's been a fucking nightmare and we are stuck here BC, we can't afford to move out. And she won't fucking fix anything most of the time. Mistaking long-term co-workers as friends. They are not. I went in business with my old brother, who doesn't know how to manage money to save his life. It ended up cost me financially for years. Never go into business with family. I'm getting a notification every 2 seconds. Trusting my ex-GF as if she was a family member.